Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the series on history, science, and faith in Islam. It is a narrative designed to offer a fresh perspective on Islamic civilization and foster a renewal of faith consistent with the loving spiritual message of the Quran. In the last session, we covered the conquest of Sindh by Muhammad bin Qasim. This session focuses on the tumultuous events surrounding the Abbasid Revolution. The Abbasid Revolution was the first major military political upheaval in the Muslim world, which resulted in the destruction of one dynasty and its replacement by another. The lessons from that revolution are as valid today as they were in the year 750. Civilizations decay from within. External factors are mere occasions that provide the coup de grace for a civilization. Muslim history is no exception. The primary causes for the marginalization of Muslims in world history are internal. If one were alive in the year 730, one would see a Muslim empire extending from Paris to Lahore. Yet, within this enormous edifice, mighty forces were gathering momentum that would shake the empire to its very foundation. The question before a student of history is, what destroyed the internal cohesion of the Muslims? In the historical context, faith embraces all human activity, including religious beliefs, economics, sociology, politics, statecraft, administration, science, art, and culture. It is this all-embracing aspect of Islamic faith that is called Tawheed. And a civilization that is based upon it is a Tawhidic civilization. Most Muslims today have reduced Tawheed to a single dimension, namely belief in God, and have largely overlooked its all-embracing dimensions. The Umayyads fell from grace because they had departed from the Tawhidic civilization as it was founded by the Prophet ﷺ and practiced by the first four Khalifas. The Umayyads were able soldiers. Some were consummate politicians like Muawiyah and Walid I. One was pious and noble, which was Omar bin Abdul Aziz. But most were ruthless, impious, and cruel. We will catalog the most obvious of the deficiencies in the rule. First, the Umayyads were unsuccessful in establishing the legitimacy of the rule. The issue of succession and legitimacy arose immediately after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. Elsewhere in this series, we have shown how Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was selected and elected the Khalifa after the Prophet ﷺ, and also the turbulent circumstances surrounding the election of Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu to the Khilafat after the assassination of Uthman radiallahu anhu. By the year 740, there emerged multiple positions on the issue of succession after the Prophet ﷺ. It is necessary to understand the more important of these because such understanding puts the rise of the Abbasids in perspective. More importantly, it helps us understand the historical context of the divisions that have rocked the Muslim world through the centuries and continue to rock it today. The issues are complex, and what we present is but a brief summary. Second, the election of Abu Bakr Siddiq to the Khilafat was not unanimous. Ibn Khaldun records a conversation between Ibn Abbas and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, which clearly shows that the former believed that Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu was the rightful heir to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The differences appear in great clarity after the assassination of Omar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and at the beginning of the Shura committee constituted by Omar to elect a successor. The majority view accepted not only the Quran and the Sunnah, but also the ijma, meaning the consensus of the companions. This was the opinion adopted by supporters of Uthman radiallahu anhu. The supporters of Ali radiallahu anhu, on the other hand, held that the chain of authority flowed from the Quran, Sunnah of the Prophet, and by delegation from the Prophet to Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu. From an internal Arab perspective, the differences arose from the conflicting claims of Bani Hashim and Banu Umayyah to the leadership of the community. Ali radiallahu anhu, a cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, belonged to Bani Hashim. Muawiyah, as well as his progeny, belonged to Banu Umayyah. After the Battle of Siffin and the tragedy of Karbala, there was no love lost between these two tribes. The Umayyads kept a close watch on the leadership of Bani Hashim and at times treated them with harshness, indeed cruelty. The majority opinion, which accepted the chain of political authority from the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet, and the Ijma, meaning the consensus of the companions, later crystallized into the orthodox Sunni position. Politically, this implies acceptance of the Khilafats of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali radiallahu anhu as a legitimate expression of the collective will of the companions. This view was championed through the centuries by the Turks, the Mughals of India, and by successive dynasties in Spain, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The position is accepted today by approximately 85% of Muslims in the world. The minority opinion, which accepted the chain of authority from the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and by delegation from the Prophet ﷺ to Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu and his successor Imams, was championed by the Safavids of Persia between 1500 and 1720 CE and is designated the Shia position. About 15% of the Muslims today subscribe to this position. The differences persist even to this day. By the year 750 CE, the Shia position had undergone further divisions. After the martyrdom of Hussein at Karbala, the mantle of leadership fell to his son Zainul Abidin, also known as Ali ibn Hussein. Repression from the Umayyads was heavy. Therefore, Zainul Abidin turned his attention to spiritual matters and to building the community from within. The absence of political activism was unacceptable to some of the followers who looked to a more dynamic leader. Zainul Abidin's son Zayd took up the challenge. Encouraged by a promise of help from the people of Kufa, he took on the Umayyads in battle. True to their historical perfidy, the Kufans abandoned Zayd and he fell in battle. His martyrdom created the Zaydi branch amongst the Shia Muslims. The Zaydis believe in the Khilafats of Abu Bakr Siddiq, Umar radiallahu anhu, and Ali radiallahu anhu, and in the Imamate of Hassan, Hussein, Zainul Abidin, and Zayd. They reject the Khilafat of Uthman radiallahu anhu. In history, their primary contribution was the spread of Islam from Oman on the Persian Gulf to East Africa and the resistance to Portuguese incursions in the Indian and Arabian Oceans in the 16th century. A second schism took place amongst the Shi'an Ali after the sixth Imam, Ja'far as-Sadiq. His eldest son Ismail predeceased him. Therefore, Imam Ja'far appointed his son Musa Kazim as the Imam. But a section amongst the Shias refused to accept the imamate of Musa Kazim and insisted on the imamate of Ismail. This group is called the Ismailis. They are also referred to as Fatimids because of the lineage from Fatimah az-Zahra radiallahu anha, beloved daughter of the Prophet. The Fatimids played a pivotal part in Islamic history in the 9th and 10th centuries when they occupied Egypt, North Africa, Hijaz, and Palestine. It was the Fatimids who made a serious attempt to conquer Italy in the 10th century, and it was they who bore the first brunt of Crusader attacks on Jerusalem in the 11th century. It was their military challenge that strengthened the Umayyad rule in Spain in the 10th century and brought the Seljuk Turks to the defense of the Orthodox Khilafat in Baghdad in the 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. They were finally displaced by Salahuddin Ayyubi towards the end of the 12th century. For clarity, we summarize here the spectrum of beliefs amongst Muslims. The Sunnis believe in the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet, and accept the Ijma of the companions. This means acceptance of the first four Khalifas, namely Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, as the rightful guided Khalifas, which is the Khulafai Rashidun. The Ithna Asharis believe in the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet, and accept the imamate of 12 Imams, namely Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Zainul Abidin, Muhammad Baqir, Ja'far as-Sadiq, Musa Kazim, Ali Rida, Jawad Razi, Ali Naqi Hadi, Hassan Asghari, and Muhammad Mahdi. The Saba'is, which is the Seveners, believe in the first 7 Imams. The Fatimids believe in the imamate of the first 6 Imams and of Ismail. The Ithna Ashari, the Fatimids, and the Saba'is are collectively referred to as Shia. Some historians refer to them as Alavis. The Zaydis are intermediate in the beliefs between the Sunnis and the Shias. They believe in the imamat of the first four imams and of Zayd bin Ali, and also in the Khilafat of Abu Bakr, Omar, and of Uthman. We must emphasize that all Muslims believe in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and disagree only in the historical unfolding of Islam in the matrix of human affairs. Like the branches of a mighty tree, the various schools of Fiqh shade the Muslim Ummah, and Islamic history would not be the same without any of them. The schism that took place during the time of Imam Ja'far had a profound impact on Islamic history. Not satisfied with the political quietude of Imam Ja'far, some supporters of Bani Hashim looked elsewhere for leadership. They found a leader in Muhammad bin Hanafiya, a son of Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu, from one of his marriages after the death of Fatima radiallahu anha. This is the beginning of the non-Fatimid branch of the Alawis. After Muhammad bin Hanafiya, his son Abu Sulaiman Abdullah became the Imam, but he was poisoned by the Umayyad Caliphs. As he lay dying, Abdullah looked around for someone from his family to pass on the imamat. As no one from his immediate family was available, he found a Hashimite, Muhammad bin Ali Abbas, in a nearby town. Muhammad bin Ali Abbas was a grandson of Abbas, uncle of the Prophet. Thus, through a twist of historical circumstances, one branch of the imamat passed from children of Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu to the children of Abbas. This branch is referred to as the Abbasids. It was the Abbasids who established the Khilafat in the year 750 and ruled from Baghdad the vast empire for more than 500 years until the Mongols destroyed Baghdad in 1258 CE. Muhammad bin Ali Abbas was a tireless worker for the Abbasid cause and established a network of supporters throughout Iraq, Persia, Khorasan, and in areas that today lie in the Central Asian republics of Turkmen, Kyrgyz, Tajik, and Uzbek peoples. After Muhammad, his son Ibrahim became the Imam. As the Abbasid movement centered on the claim that the Khilafat belonged to Bani Hashim, of which the Abbasids were a branch, gained momentum, so did the repression from the Umayyads. The Umayyad Khalifa Marwan had Ibrahim arrested, put in jail, and finally killed by forcing his head into a sack of boiling lime. Horrible, wasn't it? Before his death, Ibrahim managed to communicate with his brother Abul Abbas Abdullah and appointed him the Imam. Abul Abbas vowed to take revenge on the Umayyads for the cruel death of his brother, and he accomplished this with a vengeance. The ideological basis for Abbasid rule was not provided until a generation after they gained power. It was Khalifa Mansur who provided this ideological basis in 770 in response to a question from a Kharijite. According to this position, since the Prophet ﷺ left no sons and lineage passes from father to son, the children of Fatima Zahra radiallahu anha had no claim to succession. Accordingly, so goes this position, Succession had to be through the male progeny of the Prophet's uncle Abbas. There was yet another position on the Khilafat which was politically important at the time of the Abbasid revolution, but which lost its vigor in later centuries. This was the position taken by the Kharijites, who maintained that the Khilafat should be open to all Muslims, whether Arab or non-Arab, and should not be the privilege only of Umayyads or Hashemites. This position also remained at the fringe of Islamic body politic because of the violent and cruel ways of the Kharijites and their extremist demands. Thus it was that in the year 740 CE, as the storms gathered on the horizon for a retribution and a revolution, the body politic of the Muslims was rent asunder by conflicting claims to the Khilafat and the Imamate. This concludes the first part of our presentation on the Abbasid revolution. In the next session, inshallah, we'll complete this coverage with part 2 of this momentous upheaval. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.